What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a look at the best cards to pull from EB-01. EB-01 is out this week. I mean, not in the UK. In the UK, everything's delayed at the moment, and it's not some massive conspiracy. There's just a shipping lane that's blocked, so ships have to go the long way around, and that means that product is getting to the UK later than it is other places, which is a really boring reason to have the stuff late. But we're getting it late, and that makes me sad. But in other places, EB-01 is out this week, so it's time we looked at the best cards to pull. I'm not going to try and put a price on any of these yet. We need to wait for the set to come out and people to actually start buying and selling the cards. There's no pre-release for EB-01, because remember, it is an extra booster, hence EB-01. It's not a main set. So this Friday it comes out, we'll see what happens, and then we can start making a decision about the most expensive cards. For now, we're going to look at the cards that have come out in Japan, prices and hype in Japan, and try and figure out what the most sought after cards are. And there are some that you might expect to be on the top 10 list that aren't. All the alternate art leaders. Kazuki Oden, by far the biggest leader in Japan, Hannibal and Kyros being the other two, but none of them are on the top 10 list of most expensive cards if you look at the Japanese set. And none of them are particularly making waves competitively over in Japan. And I really want the Kyros. I think the art is lovely. And Kazuki Oden is one that is very popular that people like. But I don't think any of these are going to be on the top 10 list when all is said and done. Viola is getting a lot more hype over here in terms of price than it was in Japan. But it's not a top 10 card in Japan. It's not even close to the top 10. I don't think it even makes top 15, honestly. And Viola's a very good card that I expect to see a bunch of play, especially when we get a bit later on and we get like OP-08 out, for instance. Right now, it's fine, but it's not on the list. And actually, the best card in the set, as far as I'm concerned, is the alternate art of Laboon by So-So. I think this card is phenomenal. I want this card. But again, this is not even close to a top 10 card over in Japan. And we tend to follow Japanese prices mostly, at least in terms of order. And if it's not close to top 10 in Japan, don't expect it to be top 10 over here. So with all the stuff that doesn't make the list, what can we expect to make the list? Well, there are a bunch that we should expect to see on there. Starting off with, and this is in a very rough order, but don't worry too much about the order, that's not the point. I'm just basically showing you the cards you should be happy to open up and pull out of a pack. Don't get into the habit of, thinking that I'm guaranteeing order or anything stupid like that. This is a rough guide for the cards that you should be pretty excited about. Starting off with Kozuki Hiyori, wonderful alternate art here, and you can trash the character and play a land of Wano character with a cost of 5 or less, other than Hiyori from your hand, and draw a card. Play a 4 cost and then trash it to draw a card and play a 5 cost? Yeah, that'll do pretty gosh darn nicely. I like this. This is very cool. The alternate art of Brook should be on this list. Where Laboon failed, Brook should make it. Again, we are roughly going in the top 10 order, but a lot of these are very close together. So, honestly, until we really get to the top 3, you can mess around with the order here pretty much as you like. There is, from number 10 to number 4, there is a total of 1,000 yen, or like $6.50, separating all of them. So, do take the kind of 10 to 4 as a big amorphous blob of awesome cards you should be hoping you pull. So yeah, the alternate art of Brook, it's Brook. I'm not a huge fan of the alternate art here. I really wanted the boon. I pulled Brook in Japanese, didn't pull the boon, but lowering cost and then KOing, people like Brook. We've also got ourselves Bentham here. Now, this is the regular Bond Clay Bentham. Yes, obviously the alternate art is going to be on the list. If the regular is, you know the alt is. This is just a really, really, really good card. It's a 4 cost, and on play you add a Don active. So it's essentially a free cost. And then when attacking, you select one of your opponent's characters, and your base power is the same as theirs. So all you need to do is, and we had this confirmed in the FAQ, you whack a single Don card on here, and then all of a sudden you're 1,000 Don more powerful than any character you might be attacking. I mean, you ramp a Don when you play it, and you can basically take out any character you like. Yeah, That's pretty good, honestly. That's pretty gosh darn good. Now, all the others are alternate arts, of course. We've got Shirahoshi. Everybody loves Shirahoshi. I adore the fact that Shirahoshi just never has any power. Like, literally never has any power in the One Piece TCG. In the manga, Luffy calls her Wimpy Hoshi. And she always has zero power in the card game, and that's just something about that makes me happy. But when this character is KO'd by your opponent's effect, you add a card on the top of your deck to your life. What that means is your opponent is never going to KO this character with an effect. They're going to have to attack into her, but she's got blocker. And those two skills combined are wonderful. Because generally, especially for low power, low cost blockers, what you really want to do is take them out with effects and then launch your big attack, and at least your opponent has to give up a big or a good blocker to stop you. But if you can do this, then your opponent basically has to attack into Shirahoshi. So they have to waste an attack that you can just get rid of with your 2-cost 0-power blocker, because if they KO you using an effect, you gain a life, which they're blatantly not going to let you do, and I adore this. I think this is wonderful. Go team! Now, the alternate art of Chopper is on this list as well. That is by So-So. And look, I told you that the Laboon by So-So didn't make it, but the Chopper does. So-So is another one of the artists like Akira Igawa that works on Pokemon and One Piece. I like So-So, and I love that So-So keeps getting cards like Chopper, like Laboon. And that's not a coincidence, right? There is an art director who decides who gets to do which card. Obviously, So-So lends themselves more to these smaller, cuter characters, and I just think that's wonderful. And I'm a gigantic fan, and I think it's brilliant, and I'm glad one of the So-So cards gets on the list. It's another blocker, incidentally, in Don X2. When attacking, give one of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power for the turn. Works really well in a red-purple lore deck, both because you're lowering power, which you want to do to target characters, and because you can be played for free with lore. So, yeah, red-purple lore. They're going to like Chopper here. They're going to be friends. Now, the Kid and Killer alternate art generally is a little bit of a step above the ones we've just seen, and I think part of this is it's Kid and Killer, which I know sounds a bit reductive, but the fact is, Kid's popular and Killer's popular. You put them both on one card, that's pretty cool. It's also a decent card. 4 cost, 5,000 power, you've got Rush, and if your opponent's got 2 or fewer life, you gain 2k. So you're essentially a 4 cost, 7k with Rush. Yes! Obviously, that's really, really good. Wait till your opponent's low on life, take advantage, have some fun. And then the last one in this big blob of 10 to 7 is the alternate art of Cavendish, which is another card like Kid and Killer, which tends to be a noticeable step above the other ones we've seen here. And what we got from Cavendish is when you play or attacking, if your leader is a supernova and you have no other Cavendish, set 2 of your Don to active. It's clearly a phenomenal skill, one of the best skills in the set, and it is a weaker set overall because it's a smaller set. It shouldn't surprise anyone. All the leaders, as I've told you, are pretty bad. But, yeah, you play it, you get 2 Don active, and then every turn when you attack, you get 2 Don active. Now, it's important to note that as soon as you play a second Cavendish, both of them lose the skill. Don't do that. But if you've just got one Cavendish on the board at all times, I'm just saying that could be pretty fun. But as much as we've had a bit of an amorphous blob up to now, there is a clear top 3. And the top 3, if you look in Japan, is very clearly stated. In at number 3, Charlotte Flampe. And look, this is a very good card. This is one that is seeing a bunch of success because it's a 1 cost that on play lets you add a card from the top or bottom of your life to your hands and draw a card. Plus, you've got counter 2k, which is brilliant. And a, honestly, art full of donuts, which just makes me want donuts. But what this does so beautifully is you get extra cards in hand and you draw a card. And yes, you have to take a life so you go down on life. That's fine. Yellow doesn't really mind. Yellow's got a bunch of skills that activate when you go down to a certain amount of life or when you've got less life than your opponent, etc. You can certainly take advantage of having less life. And then you get to draw a card as well. And it's a 1 cost with a counter plus 2. I mean, look, everything about this card is good. In at number 2, and the top 2 really shouldn't surprise anyone, we got the alt art of Bon Clay Bentham. Now, firstly, I explained to you a minute ago this is a great card. The regular version makes it onto the top 10 list. And yeah, it's a secret rare. And yeah, it's the only secret rare in the set. Understand all of that. Don't care. Because also it's got Nami. The secret rare is Mr. 2 Boncray Bentham. But, and again, canonically, it's fine if you've read the manga, watched the anime, it all makes sense. This is Boncray Bentham as Nami. So you've now got the whole Nami version of it, which was always going to be popular, but the card as a whole was good. Yeah. And then obviously number 1 is Manga Chopper. And that's always going to be the case. Like the number 1, sometimes it makes me a little bit sad, because there's no mystery as to what the top card in the set is going to be, but also the manga are pretty cool. Honestly, the big question here, and this is a very important question if you've been following this along, how does this stack up to the other manga rares? How does this compare to the manga rares we see in other sets? And the answer is, that's about standard. It's not particularly high, but it's also not particularly low. It is your ordinary, everyday, run-of-the-mill manga rare. It's not high, like Boa Hancock in OP-07 is a particularly big manga rare. That is a very big deal. The Luffy from OP-05 is a very big manga rare. That's a big deal. Price-wise, this is dead in line with, for instance, the Zoro from OP-06. It's not a bad manga rare, but it is an ordinary, everyday, run-of-the-mill manga rare. And I don't say that as a bad thing, but I say that with an acknowledgement that sometimes, like Boa Hancock and Luffy, there are manga rares that do jump up more than the others. This is not that manga rare. It should be about the same as a regular manga rare. Right, there we go. Now you know the good cards from the set. You are poised to go and open your boxes tomorrow or today or whenever you get them, and then, celebrate and have fun. And job's good. There we go. So that's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what your cards that you're looking for from the set are. Tell me what your chase cards are, what you're looking forward to. Tell me if you've opened any already. Bit cheeky, but I know some people have. Tell me what you pulled. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.